Hello everyone, in this video I'll discuss the ways of averting climate change. In this video I'll discuss the ways in which we can reduce the effects of climate change, how we can reduce climate change, or how we can improvise ways in which we can reduce climate change. So in order to save future generation, even the current generation. So in the video that I posted last, I discussed about the effects of climate change, in which we saw that they are very diverse, and in this video we'll discuss about the ways in which we can combat these effects and the way we can reduce them. As it goes, it is not only for the government to combat climate change. This is a calling for everyone, an individual call, a global call, a community call. So let's start our discussion. So one of the ways in which you can reduce climate change is reduce energy consumption. This can be put in place by using energy efficient appliances and lighting. So this can be effected by constructing houses that are light efficient. You can use glasses in order for during the day you can use the light from the sun instead of using maybe light from electricity or solar. In this way you reduce the rate in which you are consuming the energy. Use programmable thermostats, regulate heating and cooling. Another way of averting climate change is transition to renewable energy. In the last video, we saw that burning of fossil fuels is one of the causes of climate change, as it releases greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which leads to global warming. So when we transit to renewable sources of energy such as solar, wind and hydropower, which are clean sources of energy and which do not release these gases into the atmosphere, in that way will reduce the effects of reduce the global warming and the climate change thing. So can we please turn into the energy that is efficient for us and that is renewable? We can also use tidal energy and all that. Another way of averting climate change is promoting sustainable transportation. Use public transportation, carpool or bike instead of driving alone. Choose fuel efficient vehicles or electric cars. As the years goes by and as technology advances, everyone is wishing to acquire a car, but these cars have effects in the environment. They release, when the fuel burns, it releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So when this carbon dioxide is released to the atmosphere, it is absorbed and it leads to global warming. So this leading to climate change. So we can reduce acquiring fuel cars or vehicles by transforming and using maybe bicycles. Bicycles don't need petrol to move, so we can also use electric cars, or even in the recent I saw that they have started inventing cars that are using solar energy. Another way in which we can reduce or avert the effects of climate change is conserve water, fix leaks and use water saving appliances, adopt water conserving practices as landscaping and dairy activities. So this way will help in, as you saw that climate change has caused change in weather patterns. Sometimes the rains are not reliable, so there is drought effects and flooding. So when this happens, it means that sometimes when the rains don't rain in inadequate amount, it means that we will lack water to use. So we can conserve water. Maybe during the rainy season we harvest water, and maybe if the pipes that are transporting the water are leaking, you can fix them to reduce the amount of water that is being lost. Another way is to reduce, reuse and recycle. This is the 3R. Minimize waste by choosing products with minimal packaging. Recycle paper, plastic, glass and other materials. So you mean that one I think is self-explanatory. Another way is support sustainable agriculture. This can be done by choosing locally produced and organic foods, reduce meat consumption, and choose sustainably sourced meat. Sorry for that. So this can be done by planting foods that don't depend on chemicals, a lot of chemicals, because these chemicals, when they are applied in plants, some of it during rain season are carried into water sources. So when these chemicals run into water sources, they pollute the water, and the water will maybe be consumed by animals, and it will also affect aquatic animals and the aquatic ecosystem, for they depend on this water. It will lead to maybe biomagnification when these fish and consume the chemicals, and maybe humans consume them, so the magnification continues, and it can cause diverse effects such as cancer. Another way of averting climate change is protecting and restoring ecosystems. We can do this maybe by planting trees where they have been cut before. So when trees have been planted, they help in acting as carbon sequesters. So they absorb the carbon in the atmosphere, and they reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We saw that carbon dioxide is an example of a greenhouse gas, and it has its own effects. It leads to global warming when it accumulates in large amounts. So we can utilize the bare lands by planting trees, and in this way, when we plant trees, we will also restore natural habitats and biodiversity. As we saw that some of the habitats have been destroyed when we cut down the trees. The animals that used to live in maybe the forest have migrated, and their habitats have been destroyed, and we also restore the biodiversity. Some of the species of plants and animals will come back and will regenerate. Another way is to educate and advocate. Raise awareness about climate change and its impacts. Support policies and initiatives that address climate change at local, national, and global levels. We can raise awareness about climate change by putting on campaigns or educating the community. Even at individual level, you can do it. You educate the people about the effects of climate change and how we can reduce its effects. And maybe you can plan maybe for a tree planting campaign or activities that will minimize the effects of climate change and will help in combating climate change. Maybe in the next video I'll discuss some of the policies that have been set to combat climate change. Another way of averting climate change is adopting climate-friendly practices, such as use of eco-friendly products and materials. Support businesses and organizations committed to sustainability. We can adopt climate-friendly practices maybe by reducing the use of something such as aerosols, which include those sprays, fridges, the manufacture of maybe mattresses. In this, they produce gases and contribute to greenhouse gas effect.